Good morning and welcome back to Salam Media. The name of the show is News and Views with myself, Salailo Makwidiri. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the show, that today's show is going to be very, very Lebanese, strong themed. And in a bit, we'll be speaking to a very, very distinguished guest, Lebanon's ambassador to South Africa, His Excellency Kabalan Frangieh, who's joining us of our virtual platform. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us on Salam Media, even if it's under very, very difficult circumstances. We appreciate you giving us your time. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. Yes,
Mm.
we would have preferred not to be in the media. Sometimes it's better not to be in the media, but this is how things are, and the attention is on Lebanon now. We're going through
No,
very difficult times.
no, definitely, and we appreciate you giving us the time. I think maybe our point of departure can be, just your initial reaction to the past few weeks of, this siege, this genocidal machine that continues to operate unabated. We've seen the damage and just the sheer destruction that they've caused in Palestine and in Gaza. And it seems like now the next target is Lebanon. Your response to that, your reaction to the few weeks?
We have been witnessing Israeli aggressions for decades in Lebanon. I would say since 1948. But this one is more intense than any. I think the Israelis have been committing atrocities like never before in this last year. We all are still seeing the genocide happening in Gaza, and this silence of the international community is like a license to kill for the Israelis. So now they are moving their machine to Lebanon, thinking that impunity is the rule of the game and they can do whatever they can.
Mm, And what's the latest you're getting from the ground now? In the diplomatic channels, speaking to the head of state and the government officials in Lebanon. From your intel, what are they telling you guys, and the initial responses to all of this?
The latest is a statement issued yesterday. The Americans and the French, with some European countries and few Arab countries, have asked for a ceasefire for 21 days, immediate ceasefire for 21 days. We are not sure the Israelis have accepted that. And there might be a Security Council meeting as well soon to discuss a possible resolution on the matter. This is the latest, but given the experience we had with the Israelis in Gaza, and given the pattern that was there between, the Israelis and other sponsors of deals, we have seen that the Israelis always manage to go around the deal, and the only language they believe in is war, and they are after blood, as we have
Mm,
seen
mm.
for the last year.
I want to stay a bit on that. I think you mentioned that call for a ceasefire, but I think my question would be, how impactful do you think these calls for ceasefire and condemnations are? Because they've been happening numerous times. Palestine, now Lebanon, but Israel continues to launch these attacks despite these international condemnations. How impactful do you think these so-called first world countries and that are in the UN Security Council is? Because ultimately they're the ones that are enabling this to happen. So that, does it mean anything that they've called for these ceasefires and this condemnation of Israel, that it's almost like a copy and paste every statement that we read?
A very good question. Uh, the only power or country who can stop Israel from doing what it's doing is the United States. It is it's clear for everyone. It's understood by everyone, and for some reason, the United States is unable, to say the least, to stop Israel, whether in Gaza. And now there is an effort, a serious effort, to stop Israel in Lebanon. Why? There is a very, like President Biden said yesterday, there is very serious concern of this war escalating into a full-fledged regional war.
Mm,
This is not a far possibility. This is a serious possibility. We have seen how things are unfolding. We have seen that this war started on the 7th of October and is ongoing now. In 2 weeks will be for a year, and the Lebanon part of the war is connected to the initial part, to Gaza war. So uh, there is fear that this is not a short war. Now there are efforts, like we mentioned before, to have a ceasefire now, which we hope will happen. But logically speaking, if we look at the pattern in Gaza, that was, I mean, no, there was no consideration for human lives losses. There were no consideration for the uh, any even concerns of parents of hostages in Israel, uh, and the Prime Minister of Israel and the government still continued the war. Now there is no hostage. There are no hostages in Lebanon, so
mm,
you would assume that they don't have this concern that they had in Gaza. So there is no reason for them in their minds to stop. They want more blood, as I mentioned. They want to continue the war, and the silence of the international community is a license for them to continue and continue. So, as is clear to everyone, only pressure from the international community, the West and the United States, is the way forward. The pressure on Israel to stop the killing and the genocides and the insanity and this madness. This is not acceptable.
mm,
In front of everyone's eyes, they are killing civilians without any reason. They are killing, annihilating families and villages and towns of people like they have never existed. They don't believe in any human lives but theirs. So this is a serious concern now. What can the international community do? The international community and the United States can do a lot. Now there are other concerns. We have elections in a month in the states. They're busy there, but this is not something that will not come back and hurt all of them. This is not a war that will be limited to Lebanon and Israel and Gaza and Israel. This is a very serious region. The region is a critical one. It's geopolitically situated in the middle of the planet, and you cannot leave things like this. This can
mm,
escalate into a regional war and more. As we have seen, we are having other conflicts also in Europe and probably other conflicts in other places, probably in Asia. But this will definitely be a big, big, big problem for the world. Now, we are seeing also new ways that are used. We are seeing the supply side, like the explosions of the pagers. This is also a precedent. This is unprecedented in wars. Another war crime, another crime against humanity, blowing up pagers and putting explosives in them before they come when they are bought. Now we are concerned about the food We are concerned about anything we buy. Not Lebanese. The whole world should be concerned. So this insanity should stop. Those are not the values that humans want to live on.
You mentioned that a full blown war and a destabilized Middle East is something that is almost imminent. Is something that is in a not so distant future. Why do you think there's this deliberate intention from Israel to plunge the Middle East into instability and full blown war with everyone at loggerheads with everyone and them being at the center of it all?
Well, it has been like that since the start of Israel. Israel has always invaded neighboring countries, annexed territories of other countries. Israel has, and many political parties inside Israel have ambitions to expand the territory of Israel. If you know, in international law, Israel has no borders. They don't have specific borders, and they haven't presented borders to the United Nations when in 1948, when it was created. And you see a lot of political parties having in their manifestos uh, lands which are not now what is known as Israeli lands. They have invaded Lebanon from 1978, and we managed to push them out in 2000. And they still occupy our some farms and hills of Kfar Shuba and Shaba farms, and they still have breached the blue line in Lebanon. They annexed the Golan Heights. Uh, we don't know what's happening in the West Bank and how they plan to go to the East Bank after probably the transfer of the Palestinians, the idea of transferring the Palestinians from Gaza to Egypt or other places, and having them as refugees again in a new catastrophe like in 1948. Those are the ways Israel has been acting since the beginning of the campaign, which brought the what's now Israelis to this land, Palestine,
Mm,
our
mm,
lands.
mm. I think
So in national politics, yeah, yeah.
Mm. No, I just want to jump in there, Ambassador. That we often say the statement that the U.S. and the European countries need to put more pressure on Israel to make sure that they don't continue unabated in their this mass murder endeavor that they seemingly have embarked on. But in literal terms, what would that pressure look like? Especially for a country like Lebanon.
So I just want to continue on the other end. I will
Yes,
go
yes,
to
please.
your answer. So if you look at the way Israel has been dealing with the people, the natives of or people who are living there, it is they don't believe in the right of those people to even be in these areas. They don't believe. They believe they have a supremacy over them. They believe they should own the land, and whenever they occupy a land, they believe it's theirs. So, like what's happening. So, make a long story short, um, the all of this aggressions and all of this attitude of Israel will it's very easy to stop it. We just give the land back to West Bank and East Jerusalem and Gaza to its people, and peace will is the only way forward to provide security for the Jews and for the Muslims and for the Christians. They don't want that. They have killed peace in the 90s. The Arabs have tried everything to have peace with Israel, but there is so much support as you asked, in the West, and so much support in the United States to Israel that it has been doing whatever it wants with impunity.
Mm,
And this should stop. And the Gaza war showed the whole world that might is not right anymore. Even though they are still committing those atrocities and genocides, now they are planning to do the same, and they are doing it in Lebanon, as I mentioned before, and as everyone knows now. We have had 500 deaths in one day. We never had this in our civil war that passed for 17 years or in previous Israeli attacks. So now Israel is more aggressive even than before. And this will be more problematic. Why is it Israel being more aggressive? Because things are changing, because the tide is turning, because people know now, and Israel know that the whole world knows what's happening. They know that they cannot continue that way. So this is an insecure country. This is a country which is feeling that they are in the corner. They're feeling that there is international pressure on the other hand on them, and
mm,
they think that they can hide this by being more aggressive and by imposing their rules to have more security. Well, this war in Lebanon has one target, according to Israeli officials, is to push Hezbollah back and to secure the return of the Israelis to the north, because 60,000 to 100,000 or even more, 150,000 have left the north since the 8th of October. And this, we assure you that this strategy will have more people from the north of Israel going south and internally displaced.
mm,
This will not ensure security for them, as also Lebanese people have been internally displaced since the last week, more than before. Since 7 or 8 October, we had few thousands. Now we have 100,000, and even more are still moving from the south to Beirut or from the east to Beirut, Bekaa. Uh, but this way will only have a contrary effect, will backfire on the Israelis, and they will not be able to secure their return to the north. This is not the
mm,
way forward.
mm,
This madness, war brings war, blood brings blood. This madness should stop. But again, this attitude of Israel has to be studied because it's unprecedented in its, even for Israeli standards. We have seen massacres in Lebanon before, but nothing like this week.
mm, no, definitely. Ambassador, Israel often, justifies their military actions as self-defense, particularly against Hezbollah. And this is something that is almost cut and paste from what we've seen in Palestine and Gaza, where they say, they are targeting Hamas military targets and infrastructure. But from your perspective, how valid are these claims, and to what extent is Israel using Hezbollah as an excuse to further its own agenda in the southern border of Lebanon?
This issue, this concept of self-defense is a joke. I mean, in international law, in all the conventions that we know and the resolutions that we know, the only party that has the right of self-defense is the occupied, not the occupier. And the resistance is the it embodies the concept of self-defense. When you have an occupier and an aggressor, it's very normal to have a group of people or many groups of people that will form and assemble to push the occupier back, which is called resistance. So they
Mm,
are usually, in by nature, a defensive organization. This is the case of Hezbollah. So it's our right as Lebanese people to resist this occupier. It's the right of the Palestinians to resist this occupier. It's not the right of the occupier to defend itself. You are in nature an aggressor. You are in nature the one who's attacking, and we are defending. This is how it has been since 1948, or before, even before, when those gangsters started attacking Arabs, and the 1948 war was a result of that. Many Arab armies were attacking Israel, and they lost part of the war, and then there was some understanding. But then they continued. They continued with massacres, and they continued the aggression, and they continued. So it's only natural, even inside the body, when you have something attacking you, your body by nature will defend itself. So this is a joke when the Israelis say we are doing so. It's also a joke in politics. You are in international law, according to every country on the planet, even the countries who are supporting Israel, an occupying force in the West Bank and Gaza and Lebanon and Golan and East Jerusalem. So you have a responsibility to treat the people under you, under international law, with respect, and not treat their prisoners the way they're treating them. You have obligations, and Israel thinks impunity is the rule of the game. As I said, this will not go long for, for much longer. The way things are unfolding, Israel is exposing itself, and the only hope now is for the international community to start putting serious pressure, because this is backfiring on the international community. We have seen some double standards. We have seen the way they have been promoting and promulgating human rights and rule of law and the respect of human rights and international law for the last decades. And now suddenly, when it comes to Israel, everything is upside down. We
Mm.
don't give enough weight for these values and for these concepts anymore. And this self-defense, they don't even believe it when they say it, because they know it's an occupying force. They know that Israel is the one occupying the whole, exercising those atrocities, and the others are only defending.
Mm, mm. And if there's one thing which is, really, really unfortunate, is the fact that this escalation comes at a time when Lebanon is already in a fragile, state due to, the economic challenges and the seemingly economic collapse, and the political dynamics within the country. How has Israel's aggression compounded these already existing challenges, and what long-term damage do you foresee this conflict doing to Lebanon's prospects of recovery?
Well, now you take me to the Lebanese front, which I wanted also to talk about.
Mm,
I'm amazed, really, I'm amazed on the solidarity of the Lebanese people. We are a democracy, and and the resilience, and the Lebanese people have lived tough times in their history. We are in a tough region, and we are a country of minorities. In the past, all those minorities used to come and hide from big armies because of the nature and geography of Lebanon, full of mountains and hills and steep valleys, difficult for armies to get in. This is why we have been also able to push Israel back all the time. Never. The resistance in Lebanon has always won its wars in terms when Israel was occupying Lebanon on Israel. Oh, in 2006, it was a different story, but also we pushed them back because of this, the nature of Lebanon. So there is so much resilience, and people don't understand Lebanon well. We have been into, as I mentioned, tough times, but every time we go out very fast and we recover very fast. Now, the problem sometimes is internally, because we are a country of minority. It's not easy to manage the country, but at the same time, we uh, we have seen now, the moment the aggression started, a solidarity like we have seen every time we are attacked by Israel. It's like a glue. Israel is a glue to the Lebanese. We always get together when they attack us. And before that, it's a democracy. Everyone speaks his mind. Everyone has something to say about this or that, about the need to fight Israel or not. Everyone know now the stories. Social media um, is changing the rule of the game. So politicians cannot lie anymore. They will be exposed. But when Israel attacks, we all get together and we all help each other. Like what's happening with the internally displaced people now. I mean, the government, the authorities, and the people in different areas of Lebanon have received their brothers and are taking care of them. Like this is the when we say we like to live, also this will and we like to. The Lebanese people are people who really like life, who like good food, to go out, who like to socialize a lot, to party even. And this same will of life shows when we fight,
Mm,
when the way we are sticking together. And everyone now can witness on what I'm saying. It's really amazing how these people is
mm.
when we go through difficulty.
Mm, mm. And just lastly, before I let you go, Ambassador, for those outside Lebanon who may not fully, understand the context and what is going on in that part of the world, what do you think is the most important message you want the world to hear about Israel's role in this? I don't think even it qualifies to be called a conflict, but aggression, and the impact that it has had on the Lebanese people.
Simply, uh, I mean, this is insanity. This is not a way to live on this planet. Israel is out of context. Is does not look like any other state. Does not behave like any other state. The way the Israelis are treating the prisoners, committing genocides, treating other humans. In 2024, you cannot not treat others with respect. And we have seen what the Jews have suffered in the Second World War. And everything was done to prevent that, even by them. And now they are doing it. So
Mm,
this is simply insanity. There is no other word to describe what is Israel doing. It's madness. I told you, even for their standards, this is unprecedented. So, yes, the response should be at the same level. The response of people should be at the same level to be able to stop this madness, especially the international community. And between us and Israel, we have a resolution 1701 supported by the international community that respects our sovereignty, and they should implement this resolution. They haven't been implemented it since 2006, since it was issued. This resolution is the way out, and it's very simple. The Israelis should give land back and they will have peace. It's not complicated as people say. It's only complicated because they don't want to give land, because they are doing everything they can to have more settlers in the West Bank and to still occupy Lebanese land and also other Arab lands, Golan Heights. It's very simple. This is
mm,
the only way forward. If there was sanity, this would have been a two-state solution for the time being. This is the what the international community. This is what all the United Nations resolutions say. But the Israelis are moving to the other direction. This is why they should be blocked by the international community. Otherwise, this can go anywhere. And this is what we fear. This is why a ceasefire now is very, 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 very important. And by the way, just to finish, Now we are,
Mm,
because Israelis are bombing hospitals, they are starting to do the same thing in the south, as if they want people to leave the south. We are reading from this that they want to occupy the south again, whether in land, ground, whether having land, sorry, ground invasion, or kicking people out. They are now killing or destroying the institutions or the hospitals, and starting to destroy schools so people don't come back. But in the meantime, we really need urgent medicine. So the embassy has launched a campaign. All Lebanese embassies abroad have launched a campaign to uh, send medicine to Lebanon. And we have a list of medicine I can share with you after. If
mm,
anyone wants to contribute, to send it as soon as possible to hospitals, because as I mentioned, the casualties are very big. Even in 1 week, we have more casualties than we had in maybe 1 month of war in 2006. And if we count from 8th of October, we have now more than 1,300 casualties, only 500 on Monday. So if things go like this, and the hospitals are unable to, they need support from abroad to be able to survive this and go through
mm.
these difficult times.
And are you getting that support from your South African counterparts, the South African government? What have your interactions been with them? And do you feel like they are leading into the right direction as you interact with them?
Yes. To be honest with you, since you mentioned that, South Africa has been the biggest supporter in absolute terms to the just cause of the Palestinians and to us as well. South Africa has been on the highest level in diplomacy. They have done what every country should have done in going to the ICJ and the ICC, because this is how you end war. You go to a judge and you say, we don't want war. We want to help people, hold people accountable. You go to courts, and the ICJ is done for this. So, on the other hand, we have lots of NGOs and South African companies, pharmaceutical companies, who have helped us, by the way, in the past
Mm,
when we needed them, and they also promised us that they will help. And we're waiting this week for the medicine. So we already have a system in place, and we are sending soon the medicine. Yes, and the
all
people
right.
of South Africa also have been very, very, very supportive, because you live the same.
Mm.
You went through the same like the Palestinian people are going, and this explains a lot, because you have the same feelings, the same sense of what's happening. This helps in understanding faster what Israelis are doing.
All right. I think we're going to leave it on that note. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us and giving us your time. Even if it's under very, very unsavory circumstances, we're going to leave it here for now. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for having me.
There you have it. There's His Excellency Kabalan Frangieh, Lebanon's ambassador to South Africa, just giving us his reaction and also confronting Israelis' ongoing war crimes and genocidal modus operandi that they seem to have, now cut and paste from Gaza and trying to implement on the southern border with Lebanon. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, News and Views still continues with the very, very strong themed Lebanon show today, and we'll be focusing on the Lebanon-Syria border because you have thousands and thousands of people from Lebanon, Lebanese people who are trying to, get it into Syria and to try and, find some sort of reprieve and relief from this ongoing siege by the Israeli occupying forces as airstrikes continue to pound Lebanon and leaving more than 600 people dead so far. So we'll be sticking with that theme after the short break.